If you were to walk in our house right now, it would say FFJ and it's got a circle around it. And what that means for us is finish the freaking job. The life that you want is on the other side of elite preparation and elite work ethic and elite attitude. Not just good, like elite.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the March or Die podcast. This is a show where we do our best to give you the principles and perspectives to move forward and march when it would be easier to stay where you are and die. Today, we're going to talk about leadership, one of my favorite topics. And, most people don't lose because they lack vision. They lose because they lack preparation, discipline, and the humility to pursue wisdom. And we're going to talk about that today. A good friend of mine, Jason Skaer, we actually attend the same church, former collegiate and professional basketball player, leader of many organizations, now leader here at our church. You lead all the, we'll let you get into your background, but lead the teams here in our church. So, man, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. So, man, we're going to jump right in. But first, tell us about who you are, like your background, like where you came from,
Sure.
and how you got into, this topic that we're both passionate about, this leadership.
Yeah, it's good, man. I grew up mostly in Houston. My dad was a coach and an educator for forever, mostly south of Houston. Still is, doing it 50 plus years. He tells me he's retiring this year, but we'll see. So grew up in a coach's home and a teacher's home. And so I think it all generated from there. Just wanted to play ball my whole life. Grew up in the gym playing basketball. Was lucky enough to eventually get a scholarship to Oklahoma State University.
Nice.
Played for Eddie Sutton there, Hall of Fame coach. So a lot of leadership principles there, obviously. Graduated from Rice University here in Houston. So kind of got the best of both worlds, the athletic stuff at OSU and then the academic stuff at Rice. Fortunate enough to play professionally for about 6 years, mostly in Europe, Austria, Italy, France, bounced around a little bit. Played in some of the minor leagues here in the States, but was never quite good enough to be in the NBA. Everybody else kept getting bigger, and I kept getting smaller. I ended up being a little guy,
That's crazy, because you're what, 6'6"?
6'6", yeah. So everybody else was 6'10" or 7 feet tall, doing all the same thing. So I lost out on that. But obviously a lot of great leadership principles from athletics that transferred into a lot of my life. Came to faith. And from there, entered into the ministry, got my master's degree and all other kinds of fun stuff. But we can get into that later. But that's the short story.
Tell me about your testimony, man. Like, what was your faith journey like? I always like to hear about that. What was that?
So it wasn't much growing up, to be honest with you. My family was Catholic at the time, so we weren't even really good Catholics. But we did go to church, and so it was more of a religious experience in those days than a spiritual experience, I would say. But one year when I was in Austria playing ball, I think I was 23 or 24, somewhere in that area. What I say is I was so bored, I read the Bible cover to cover. Like that was in the old days, man, late 90s, early 2000s, where there was no, like the only TV we had that spoke English was like CNN. So you can only watch the news for so long. And I don't know why I had a Bible with me, but I did. And I just read it cover to cover like a book and was really fascinated with the figure of Jesus. And that's how I came to faith, essentially. It's like, I got to follow this Jesus guy. And it really redirected everything. I had a hard time reconciling, like, how do I play ball and follow Jesus at the same time? Because for me, playing ball was such a fierce, competitive, dog-eat-dog kind of world. Like when I was playing in Europe at the time, there was no such thing as a guaranteed contract. So like literally every day, you're kind of fighting for your existence.
Wow.
And so a lot of my success was really built on anger and like, just want to destroy you today. Like I remember there'd be times like, you'd meet, so you could only have 2 Americans on each team in most of these places. And so usually those guys were the best guys on the team. And then like, before the game, you'd have the captains go out and you meet. And I remember like there would be some new guys, coming over for the first time and they're kind of happy-go-lucky and like, hey man, love to hang out with you. And I'm just thinking, I just want to take your job today, bro. Like, there's nothing fun about this for me. I'm out to kill you today. So I had a hard time reconciling the faith component with the competitive nature. And eventually when I realized, hey, this NBA dream's not going to work out. I don't want to play in Europe for the rest of my life. So I need to figure out what's next.
Okay, man.
So that was it.
What do you feel like, was there ever a point where you felt like you were able to reconcile that because I get this,
Yeah.
As a professional MMA fighter, I get this question a lot. How do you reconcile going in and doing harm to people?
Yeah.
But you're a Christian,
Yeah.
So did you ever, I'm just curious, was there like a point where you...
I never really, I was never really able to balance it fully. I think, again, it coincided with me coming to a realization that, hey, I'm never going to be good enough to play in the NBA. I got cut by the Rockets twice. And again, everybody was just getting bigger and bigger, and I wasn't going to grow anymore.
Yeah, you were done. Yeah.
So those things just kind of coincided, and so I never really was forced to flesh that out and figure that out. And when you're 23, 25 years old, you're very immature. You don't really know how to figure that stuff out. So I think I could definitely do it now.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's too late.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. No, people ask that a lot, for me personally, because I go and I'm like trying to hurt this dude. And I'm like, well, it's a sport, he's signed up for a set of rules and I signed up for a set of rules. And my goal isn't to destroy his life. My goal is to win, and it might be causing some harm, but I can do that in a way that glorifies the Lord at the same time,
Yeah, I think the way I would reconcile it now is similar, and how I try to, teach our boys who are in sports, is I think I had a misunderstanding of what biblical manhood looked like, some kind of soft religious thing. And, the more I follow Jesus and the more I read the scriptures, I'm like, that's not true.
No.
So like, you can be a man, you can be a dude, you can be a fighter, you can be a ball player, you can be a real guy.
Yeah.
And still follow Jesus. Those things aren't competing against each other.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll talk about more.
Yeah, no, we can get into that for sure. It's one of my favorite topics. So man, let's jump into the leadership stuff. I've heard you talk about, this idea that, procrastination leads to panic.
Yeah.
And preparation leads to peace.
Yeah.
So expand on that for me. What does that mean to you? Where did you get that principle?
No, that's good. I mean, I think, again, a lot of my kind of leadership axioms and guideposts along the way have developed out of a life of athletics, coaching. And you and I have talked. I think there's some obvious parallels between that and the military, which I know is a lot of your audience.
Yeah.
Guys kind of in that role. I mean, I think the military takes it, 2 or 3 steps further than athletics. I think, I think you guys are a lot more disciplined and like mentally tough even than athletes are. So for me, athletics is like the game version of the real life stuff that you guys are doing. I think a lot of us, myself included, from an athletic standpoint, are like, I couldn't live that life. There's a level of discipline and I don't know. It's a different level. So please forgive me. I would never try to estimate that athletics and military are the same, because I don't believe that.
Oh, there's some crossover.
But I do think there are some crossover principles. And that crosses over into life, it crosses over into family, crosses over into business. So all that to say, the thing that you just mentioned, like, is an axiom that lives in our home pretty strong. Like, all the things that I'm teaching here or any of the teams that I've led, like, it starts at our dinner table. Like, I've got 6 boys in our house, 1 girl. And so it's like a locker room experience a lot. And so I'm trying to translate those leadership principles to them. And if they work at our dinner table, then they'll work pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
If the kids think it sucks, then I know it's not going to really translate. But this one that you're talking about does translate. And again, it originated in our home, like, for very simple things. And I think this is where it gets very practical for me. Like, again, with six boys, like, we don't have the margins for you to not make your lunch or not do your laundry or not take care of your room. Like, the volume is too high. And so if you don't take care of your business, it creates a chaotic environment in our home that we can't absorb.
Yeah.
And so literally, like, this principle that you're talking about originated there. Like, I sit down at the dinner table, like, look, procrastination leads to panic. If you don't do your job the night before, you can't wake up today and be like, oh, I need that uniform for school today. It's too late. Or I didn't make my lunch last night. And now you're spinning everybody else into a panic, bro, because you're like, hey, I need this and I need that. I'm like, one, I got my own job I got to get ready for today. And I got other people in this house. It's not just you. So your procrastination has led to a panic in this house. And obviously, you know, in those instances, we're talking about very small things. But what will lead to peace, what will kill that panic, what will kill that procrastination is preparation. So just do your job ahead of time, you know? And so again, a lot of that athletic kind of mindset and mentality transfers, like what you don't prepare for ahead of time, not just affects you, but it affects the team.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot about what we talk about in our home. And then obviously that translates into business and the work that we're doing here, into any environment. So happy to dig into that further, but that's kind of the principle.
Tell me about this. I don't know if I got the acronym right, but this FTF FJ. Tell me about this
FFJ. Yeah, there's another one.
Give me the FFJ.
Yeah, if you were to walk in our house right now, so we've got like this kitchen cupboard that has like a glass door, like we use it as a whiteboard.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these things kind of originate on that whiteboard. But at the very top of it, if you walk, I wish I had a picture of it, but if you walked into our house right now, it would say FFJ and it's got a circle around it. And what that means for us is finish the freaking job.
I love it, man.
And depending on what context I'm in, sometimes the F takes on a different word, especially in our locker room with all those boys.
Yeah.
But again, that originated in the home, meaning, hey, bro, if you're going to do the dishes, do all the dishes. Why are we leaving 3 dishes in the sink? Or if we're emptying the dishwasher, why are we not finishing that job? Or taking out the trash or any of those small little things? Like, do it all the way. Finish the job. The job's not done until the job is done. So that translates everywhere in our home for us. Like, hey, why is that, shirt in the corner? I know you picked up your room, but you left that. Why would you do that? That makes no sense. And so it translates here a lot. Like I tell our team here at work, like FFJ, they would all know what that means. All my kids know what that means. Everybody here that works here knows what that means. And so, how that'll play out is like, Thursday's the end of our work week here. And it's easy to like, hey, start to slack off as you get to the end and feel like, I can leave a few of these things undone. But I'm like, no, bro, if you will finish this job, if we will all take care of our business, our weekend will be a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
But if you leave some stuff undone, then somebody's going to get a text about it or a call about it. It's going to interrupt their Friday or their Saturday. And now you've disrupted the peace that, that they needed. So FFJ, finish the freaking job.
I love it.
So that's a big one around here.
I love it. Why do you think, man, what is this procrastination is? It's like rampant. Why do people procrastinate so much? I mean, what's the...
That's a good thing. I think some of it for me is generational. We've got some younger team members that we have here, and my kids, again, being young teenagers. Like, if you just haven't been taught, if it hasn't been modeled for you, then where does it come from?
Yeah.
So I like to hire athletes. I like to hire ex-military guys. I like to have people that have grown up in those team environments where procrastination is not tolerated. So I think there's some generational stuff to it. Like, again, if your dad didn't model that for you, or you didn't grow up in a team environment where that was modeled for you, where do you learn it? But there is also another aspect of it for me that's just kind of societal.
Yeah.
Like, without getting too far, like, it just feels a little soft sometimes for me.
Yeah.
And so, like, preparation. Again, not to belabor the point, but I tell my team here, like, some of these things are just basic stuff. And if you just do the basic stuff, you'll be ahead of 90% of the people that you compete against in work or in sports or whatever. Like, just do your job, bro.
Yeah.
Be ready, be prepared, be ahead of time. And like, I'm not going into a meeting if I haven't. I'll come with 3 different packets for 3 different scenarios. Whichever way this goes, I'm ready.
Yeah.
But a lot of young people haven't experienced that. They don't know what that means. And so if you don't model it for them, I think it's hard for them to pick up.
Yeah. let's talk about the power of the details.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I believe that success is in the details.
Yeah.
So, similar to this, finish the job.
Yep.
Like, what are your thoughts on like being detail oriented and teaching our children and our
Yeah.
teams to be focused on the
Yeah.
details?
I say all the time, all the small things matter.
Mm,
All the small things matter. So if I'm teaching basketball, like, hey, how you come off this screen is important. Like you got to set them up before you go this way. And that's a little detail that would make all the difference. And so, again, growing up in a coach's home, playing for Eddie Sutton, like he was the smartest basketball mind that ever been around, knew every detail and nuance about everything. And so you just learned that all of those things matter. And so it's just ingrained in me. Like, showing up on time is ingrained in me.
yeah.
Being prepared is ingrained in me. And so, again, all the details matter. And that matters here. Like, and the bigger the responsibility you have, the more people it affects. And so if that detail slips, then, in my home, that may affect 6 kids, 7 kids. But here, it may affect, a staff of 25. And if they miss a detail, then it may disrupt hundreds or maybe thousands of people.
Yeah.
So like, hey, we send out a text link that, hey, we need you to sign up for this or get an update on this. But if the text link doesn't work, right? How many opportunities do we get to have them click that link? So sometimes, I get maniacal about even the smallest of details, which is a little bit of a paradox for me. And the people that know me, like I'm pretty laid back, dude.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to like get me off center or make me feel like I'm frantic. And at the same time, I care about every detail.
Yeah.
Like somebody will send me a proposal. I'm like, hey, points 1, 2, and 3 have periods at the end of the sentence, but point 4 doesn't have a period there. That tells me that you're not really looking over this document. And so how am I going to trust you to send that out to thousands of people if you're not sending it to me the right way?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you, bro. All the small things
Powers
matter.
in the details. Yeah. I every little bit counts is something that I
There you go.
kind of live my life by. And
There you
it's
go.
this, if I want to be successful at something, then I'm gonna take every little opportunity I can to apply success to that. So,
Okay.
for example, when I was a police officer, I wanted to be the best shooter in the academy, in the department. And so on my lunch break, instead of eating lunch, I would go shoot at the range.
There you go.
That's only 30 minutes, but that's 30 minutes more than you got
That's
if
right.
you would have sat down and ate lunch. So
That's
I could
right.
pack a lunch, I could eat real fast, and I can use 20 minutes to get some range time in. So I think that concept of the details and every little bit counts is really big.
Yeah, the way that translates for us, especially the boys I have now that are trying to be like high level athletes. I got one right now. It's in high school, being recruited by every college in the country, it seems, to play football.
That's awesome.
And what I tell them is none of this matters.
Yeah.
What matters is, did you get a little bit better today? Because goals, essentially, they're good. I want you to have these goals, big dreams. I'm never going to be a guy that's like going to talk down your dreams. But the only way to get there is one day at a time. Did you get better today? Did you put the work in today? So I don't care if, University of Texas came to talk to you today, or, we went to the University of Oregon for a workout over this. Like, all that stuff is awesome and great, and I love it. And it's exciting as a dad to be a part of it. I want you to enjoy it. But what I'm going to ask you every day you walk in the house, after you tell me about all this cool stuff that's happened, is, did you get a little bit better today? Because that's all that's going to matter. Because right now you're 15 or 16 years old, and they're not going to care about you when you're 18 or 19 years old if you're not a lot better than you are today. Like, you're really good for a 15 or 16-year-old, but that's not enough, bro.
Yeah.
Like, did you get better today? Did you put the work in when nobody else was watching? That's the only thing that's going to matter. So we say that a lot. Right? Goals are cheap. It's the process that matters. It's every day that gets you to where you got to go. So, this whole thing you're talking about with like march or die, like that resonates with me. I hadn't heard that phrase before until, working with you on this stuff a little bit, but I love it. Like, that makes total sense to me. Like, we can all have this vision of where we want to go, but the only way to get there is to keep moving forward. Like, it's a one day at a time thing. So, man, all that resonates with me.
Yeah. Sometimes, man, there's the concept of, like, especially in the military and first responder world, it's like, get off the X. The X is where you die.
Okay.
Right? So the X is, somebody says, get off the X, that means like, hey, you're gonna where you're standing, you're gonna die. So you got to get off the X, which means you have to move. You got to move. You got to take action. You got to step forward. And man, in life, sometimes, like you said, it's one day at a time. And transparently, man, like people who watch the show know this, and you know this. I've been sick for a little while, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, bro, it's like some days, bro.
Yeah.
15 minutes at a time, bro.
Yeah.
Like I just got to crawl forward, and I love having these conversations because I try to live my life by this, but I don't got this figured out.
Easier said than done.
Like easier said than done. And so to hear this, goals are cheap and I've heard you say that elite preparation, elite attitude, elite effort lead to elite outcomes.
There you
go.
Yeah.
And poor preparation, poor attitude, and poor effort.
Yeah.
All that's going to lead to is poor performance.
That's right.
And regret, So,
well, man, you bring up a good point. I mean, I hesitate sometimes to make too many parallels between athletics and military or first responders because I have a lot more respect for those folks than I do athletes. But I do know in both of those realms, there are times where you don't want to do any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Life has kicked you in the rear end enough to be like, oh, it's beat the audacity out of me. So sometimes it's health stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's financial stuff. Sometimes it's job stuff or kid stuff or marriage stuff. Like, I get, bro. I mean, I think we all have. When you live long enough, I just turned 50. We all have our stories of times where we don't want to move forward if we're honest. Like, we'd rather stay on the X and take our chances.
I say, yeah.
And those are dangerous places to be. And to me, that's where the training and the background comes in. Like, again, if it's ingrained in you, be like, all right, it ain't gonna be a big step, but I can take one step forward off this X today.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe even more than that. And I know you talk a lot about this here, the faith component is used. Like, I can't do this on my own today.
Yeah.
Jesus, if you don't help me get off this X, I am going to stay here and die. I think we've all felt that way. And then the other thing is just, community around you, of people that care for you, that sometimes will just pull your ass off that X today and be like, I'm not going to let you. You may want to die there today, but I'm not going to let you.
Yeah.
So I would always qualify all of these statements with, hey, man, in good seasons, these things are easy to live out. But, when life kind of beats the crap out of you, this stuff really gets put to the test.
Yeah. So. I love the community time, man. It's been huge for me lately. And I've been saying this thing lately, you need some roof breakers in your life, bro.
There you
go. The story of the paralyzed man, right? They can't get to Jesus, so his friends, they hoist him up, they go up and they break through the roof and they lower him down. And the man is healed, Jesus says, because of the faith of the people.
That's right.
His friends that brought him to Jesus, on account of their faith, And what a powerful picture of community for us, And I think it's important. And community can, like you said, pull you out of that. The life you get is a reflection of the perspective and the habits that you tolerate in your life. And sometimes you get stuck in a place where you're okay with tolerating subpar performance. And you need somebody in your life that can grab a hold of you and say, hey, man, like, you got to get out of this. You got to move forward. Which is important in business and obviously in military and law enforcement, but in the home too, man. Like, you lead in and you're talking about, I love the conversation around the parenting, because this is such a parallel to parenting and how we lead and guide our children. And it's super hard to do, man. It's hard to do because life's going on around us, but that's our role, and that's what we got to do.
My kids are a great motivator for me. I want to be a good example for them. I want to show them the way. I want to model things for them that maybe I didn't see.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a responsibility to them to show them a different way, a better way. So a lot of times that helps me. The ironic thing is, as we get older, sometimes they help me and push me. It's almost like what they've learned, now they're helping me through, which is weird. Like when one of my boys will sense, hey man, Dad doesn't feel great today, or Dad's struggling with something at work with it. Like, it's a weird thing, bro, to have your teenage son, some of them who look me eye to eye now, which is weird.
Which is crazy.
But when they say, hey, man, you look like you need a hug. It's like the coolest, sweetest, weirdest thing.
That is,
it's so awesome, you know? You're like, hey, you can see something in me and you actually want to help me. Like, those are cool moments.
Yeah.
So I always say, you know, the home is at least for me, and I think probably for a lot of people, the most challenging and intense leadership environment that I have. Working here or working wherever, you know, some of those jobs are harder than others and obviously more intense and stressful than others, depending on what you're doing. But the stakes are never higher than they are at home. Like, they're always watching. Your wife is always watching. So you're trying to teach them, and then sometimes they're trying to remind you of things that you taught them. So it's a great crucible for leadership, being in the home. And so, you know, for me, a lot of my community comes there, frankly. You know, I've got friends, I've got colleagues here that I know I can count on, but nobody I can count on more than my wife, my kids. So I feel safe there. Like, I feel protected there. I feel like I can be real there. And I want the same for them. You know, like, the world that they're growing up in is so different than the world I grew up in. There's so many different pressures of social media and stuff that we've talked about. And so I want that to be a sanctuary for them. And so for part of it for me is teaching them what a real biblical man looks like in our home. Bro, you can laugh, you can cry, you can complain, you can do all those things. Like, there's no stereotype here.
Yeah.
Be the fullest and freest version of whatever God's created you to be here, without shame, without regret, without second guessing any of that. I always tell them, there's nothing that you can do that's going to make me love you less. I won't like some of the things you do. We'll have to discipline you through some of the things that you do, but it doesn't affect our relationship and the way I see you or the way I feel about you. And actually, it's not going to make me love you anymore either. All these great, cool things. Like, my love for you is on a different level. So I think that's where kind of the Jesus stuff and the biblical idea of love comes in for us. Like, hey, man, this is an unconditional relationship that we have.
Yeah.
So I try to, the way I think God looks at me through Christ, I want my kids to feel that. They don't have to earn anything here. They don't have to prove anything here. You're my son. I love you, man. We'll work through anything. So just let's talk about it. Let's work through it. And if I don't know about it, I can't help you through it. But you know how kids are. They get ashamed of stuff and don't want to tell mom or dad about stuff. So I think we've done a decent job of cultivating that.
That's good, man. Yeah. I love that. Let's talk about leading versus managing.
One of my favorites.
What's the difference?
I hate managing and I love leading. So if I'm talking about a business setting, whether it's a church or a team, a business, anything where there's a team, my strong preference is to lead you and not manage you. And in fact, I tell our team a lot, if I have to manage you too much, then I think I probably got the wrong person in the job. Meaning, I don't want to look over your shoulder. I don't want to have to second guess every document you put out or every decision that you make. I want to lead you. Meaning, I want to give you the resources you need to do your job. I want to give you the encouragement you need to do your job, but I'm not going to do your job for you. So management feels a little bit more like control for me. Leadership feels more like empowerment. And so I think some of it's just birthed out of my selfishness. I don't want to be managed. I don't want to be micromanaged for sure. Like, if I feel like whoever I'm working for doesn't trust me, doesn't believe in me to do my job, then it's going to be hard for me to operate in that space. And so I want the same for my teammates. Like, hey, I want you to know I love you, I believe in you, I trust you. Sure, there's going to be things we have to correct.
Sure.
Like, we can always have those honest conversations. But on the whole, I would much rather you run too far and have to pull you back a little bit versus kind of kick you in the rear and be like, hey, man, can you do something here? So leadership versus management is a big thing for me. And I think different levels of teams require sometimes different levels of leadership or management, meaning that I think the higher levels of leadership are more leadership and the lower levels are more management.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So the job before this one was leading a nonprofit in the Fifth Ward of Houston, which was like an after-school program for like the most at-risk kids in our city. And we had all different levels of employees. So we had full-time employees to part-time, like teachers for the after-school program, the bus drivers, and we had a lot of volunteers. And so I think all of those levels require kind of different engagement. So a big part of my time there was kind of rewiring our organization to say, hey, at these higher levels, it's leadership. We can't be managing our executive director of something. Like they should be old enough and smart enough and experienced enough to do their job. If not, we hired the wrong person.
Yeah.
But, a bus driver or a food service worker or a volunteer is going to need more management. This is not what they're doing all day, every day. This is not necessarily their primary passion. So sometimes they just need to be told what to do.
Yeah.
And if they're, coming in off the street because they're volunteering they work at Exxon and they wanted to help out today, well, they need to be managed.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of freedom because they don't know how to deal in our organization. So I think the best organizations have more leadership than management.
Would you say that for a leader, I'm trying to think of how to put this. I think that sometimes a sign of an immature leader is an over management or a micromanagement.
For sure.
Right. So I think that absolutely there's times when we need to manage, but would you agree that if a leader is out there and he's reflecting on his leadership and he finds that he is micromanaging his people, that might be a sign of him needing to grow in his leadership?
Absolutely. I've been there.
Okay.
So I helped plant and lead a church here in the Woodlands. And I was young. I was like 31. And I thought I knew how to do everybody's job better than they did.
Yeah.
And I tried. I can do that job. I'm going to do that. I worked myself to death. I'll do that job. I'll do that job. I'll show you how to do this. Like, I held everything so tightly, bro, because it mattered to me. I mean, some of it comes from a good place.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not all poorly motivated.
Yeah.
Like, I think, especially when you're young, you care about something so much and you think something is so important that you're just going to give everything to it. But I think as you get older, and certainly this has been my experience, you learn to hold things a little looser and realize we're not going to get where we want to go without other people. Other people really leading, not just doing what I tell them or how I tell them to do it, but like there might actually be people out there with better ideas that would do this differently and better than I would. Like that was a revelation for me.
Yeah.
Like I just thought I could do everything better than everybody. There's some ego in that. So, if you come from a military or athletic background, I think a lot of guys, myself included, big ego. Like I tell people all the time, like I'm humble, but I got an ego, man.
Yeah.
Like I want to be important. I want to do something that matters, that counts. Like I don't shy away from that. But if that energy is not directed in the right direction, it can become troublesome. So I think there's a lot of immaturity and insecurity reflected in holding things too tightly.
Yeah.
So I think the leaders that I like the most, respect the most, mentor me, help me the most, are usually older guys that are like, it's going to be okay, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
How have you kind of come to realize when you identify this person either needs to be managed or this person can just be led?
Some of it is the job description.
Okay.
So like here, how we operate, we have ministry leaders for each domain. So in those positions, we can't afford to manage any of them.
Yeah.
We got 12 guys or girls that need to be leading. They've got their own teams. So if they're not leading, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you come to that realization, hey, you're not ready for this job. And as anybody who listens to this know that has any kind of team, you never really know what you have until they're in the seat. Like you can go through all the qualifications and the resumes and the references and have all the great conversations, but until they're in the seat doing the job, you really don't know what you have. And so sometimes you realize, we made a mistake. And you got to own it. Otherwise, that mistake just keeps lingering and going on. So to answer your question, like, I want to know that ahead of time. Do I need a leader in this position or do I need a manager in this position? For most of what I'm dealing with now, it's leaders. And so if there's signs of, hey, this person is a manager or needs to be managed, then that's not the right fit. So we try to do that as much as we can ahead of time and making those distinctions.
Yeah, it's good. I like that. It's good to hear. I've heard you say this concept that down is always easier than up.
Yeah.
And so I want to get into that a little bit. Let's talk about the decay of leadership. And if you're not intentional about how you lead in life, then something's going to crumble. Something's going to start to fall. And again, we're talking about all aspects. This could be in your home. This could be in the workplace, the team you're leading, whatever it is. Why is decay a natural process?
It's a good question. So we do say a lot, down is always easier than up. And I don't remember where that came from. I know it was like I don't know if it's like the Atomic Habits guy.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody out there's listening probably already knows who this is. I don't know if it's the...
They'll leave a comment for us.
The Jordan Peterson guy. There was a Navy SEAL book I was reading that made them... It came from somewhere.
Yeah.
In that kind of field. So it's not my own idea. Down is always easier than up. I've kind of adapted that a little bit, but I think what they mean by that, when they say that, is that there's a natural gravitational pull to laziness, to the status quo. That's just easier, right? Versus going up. Up requires work. I mean, I think there's a science to it, right? Even just here, like, it's easy to stand on the ground. The gravity is pulling us to the ground. It's harder to go up, right? It takes effort. It takes intentionality. You got to jump. You got to do all the things, and you got to keep doing it, or you're just going to stay here. And so I think, and again, I wish I knew the reference point for this, but in the explanation of this, there was this study of a classroom. And I think I'm getting most of this right. Forgive me if I'm not.
That's okay.
There's a group of kids, and then they inserted a kid, like, intentionally with some issues that would like to pull people down behaviorally or from a work ethic standpoint, some kind of controlled environment like that. And their first assumption was, hey, all these good kids are going to help the bad kid get out of some of these bad habits and be better. And what they found, it was the opposite. The one kind of bad apple in the group started gradually pulling other people with him because they started observing, oh, if Johnny can do that, well, maybe I can do that. Johnny can get away with that. Maybe I can get away. Johnny can say that. Maybe. So the idea was, hey, we thought all these great leaders were going to be able to pull this one kid out of a funk. And the reality is, the one kid started to pull everybody down. So that was very intriguing to me because of the environment that I was working in.
Yeah.
But man, it translates to a lot of things for me. So, if you want to go in the home, we could have 6 boys operating at high capacity, and then one's like having a bad day, and just like he can dramatically affect the whole temperature of the house. A basketball team certainly saw that all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Kids with a lot of talent that just didn't have the emotional intelligence to be good leaders and brought everybody down with them. And certainly in a work environment, right? Like, you can have 1 or 2 bad apples in the group, and what you would think is, hey, man, you surrounded them with all these great leaders, they're going to help them learn the way. And sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
There's a redemptive part in that. I'm not disqualifying.
Sure.
But for this principle, I think what it's saying is, hey, be careful who you surround yourself with. Like, that one little bad habit, that one little guy that has the one little problem, like, down's easier than up, bro. We have this gravitational pull towards sin and disobedience and selfishness and egotistical behavior. Like, it's just a pull that's always there, even if you're a follower of Jesus. And so down is easier than up. Up takes strategy and work, like you're saying, every day moving forward, marching forward. Down is always easier than up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thought there.
No, I love it, man. What can somebody do, or how about this better? How does somebody watch for habits that quietly erode leadership? What habits would you say quietly erode that up process and start the decay process?
Yeah. So in a team environment, in a work environment, let's start there. One, if you don't work hard, it's a little bit of a cancer. So work ethic is definitely one. Preparation, which we've already talked about, is another hidden one. Like if you're the dude that always shows up last minute, not prepared and ready to go, it hurts the team. And other people start feeling like, well, if so-and-so can do that, maybe I can. Maybe I can do that. But maybe the biggest one is the attitude. Yeah. Right. If you're always complaining, if you're always the negative naysayer, like I'm all for let's have alternative opinions and let's beat this question up 1,000 different ways. But at the end of the day, if your natural disposition is pessimism, it's going to be problematic in your team. Like that's pretty cheap. So work ethic, preparation, attitude, those are three things that we're always kind of on the lookout for. So I think those things are usually obvious to people, to leaders. I think the harder thing is what do you do with it when you find it, right? Yeah. And again, down easier than up. The easy thing is to ignore it. The easy thing is to explain it away or try to hide it. It's just a natural pull. I don't want to deal with this today. I don't want to have to coach them through this, whatever that is. So, when we find that kind of stuff, I mean, my natural proclivity now as an older leader is to take care of it. Meaning, hey, let's have an honest conversation. Are you aware that this is a problem on our team? Are you aware that, your procrastination is creating issues for so-and-so down the hall because now they're waiting on you, and that's a problem. So if you're aware of it and you're willing to work through it, then let's coach you through it. If you're like trying to deflect it and be like, this is not my fault, it's not my problem. Okay, well then you're the problem, bro. And we're probably just going to have to find a way for you to find what's next, which is really hard in a nonprofit world, in a church world, not as hard in kind of a business setting or a basketball team. Or, like, I don't know what it's like maybe in the military first responder world, but like in the basketball world, don't do your job. Oh, that's cool, bro. We'll just put you on the bench. Yeah. Enjoy that. Yeah. Have fun there. Yeah. Harder to bench your kids, right? Yeah. Or harder to bench somebody, in a church or nonprofit environment where you got a lot of people who love Jesus trying to do good things. But at the same time, we do have standards and expectations that we got to live up to. So the older I get, the less tolerance I have for it. Yeah, I like that. That's good, man. One of my buddies, somebody's been on the show before, Chip Baker, he says, attitude determines altitude. There you go. There's a good saying that's I'm down with that. Lived with me since he said it. Attitude determines altitude, this concept that we're talking about, right? Downward is always easier. And you just mentioned how the attitude, is a big player. And makes me think about, I talk about discipline a lot, and discipline, because in that world, in my world, discipline has just been really life-giving. And people sometimes will ask me, like, man, how do you maintain motivation to do these things that you're doing? And not that I'm doing all these cool things, but when somebody asks and they think I've done something good, they're like, well, how man, I just lack motivation. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I'm not motivated to do that. Yeah. I'm just disciplined. It's a choice. Because it's a choice. Discipline doesn't care how you feel that day, Motivation does. Motivation's fleeting. It comes and goes. Yeah. You're motivated to do something where you get tired or something gets in the way, well, that motivation is gone. But discipline is, I'm going to do this thing every day, this goal that I've set, this process that I've put in place, whether or not I want to or not. I'm going to do it. I'm going to choose discipline. It's a choice. And I don't think most people understand the elite levels of discipline that you're probably talking about. Like, I mean, that's one of the things, the the life that you want is on the other side of elite preparation and elite work ethic and elite attitude. Not just good, like elite. And I think, I tell you don't understand what that means. You think you're working hard, but you don't know. There's people out there working a lot harder than you, with a better attitude than you. And if they're more talented than you, then they win. So, man, that stuff is real for me, for sure. Like, so many kids, again, I want to be a Navy SEAL. I want to be an MMA fighter. I want to be a professional basketball player. I want to be the president of a corporate, whatever those big goals are.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Dream as big as you possibly can. But at some point, come to the realization of how much work it's going to take to get there. And so I think what you just alluded to is, hey, when things are fun and easy and good, it's easy to put the work in today. But what about when I don't feel great? Or when all my friends are going out doing all the cool stuff? Like you talking about, I'm not going to take a full lunch break. I'm going to go shoot. How many people are doing that? Not a lot.
Yeah.
It's the differentiator for me. Are you putting in the work in? And then, the attitude part is like the other thing. You can do all that and be an a-hole.
Yeah.
And it's going to submarine all that hard work. But if you do all that hard work and you're actually somebody that people enjoy being around, sky's the limit. The world's open to you. Go get it.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's talk about the role of wisdom. Right? In leadership and really in achieving the life that you want versus the life that you get, which we're talking about.
Yeah.
I know you love this verse. You mentioned it to me, Proverbs 14:4, where there are no ox in the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. What does that mean?
Let's go back a little bit, maybe, for me.
Yeah, let's go.
So I think wisdom is not just knowledge. I think it's the art of how you use the knowledge that you have. So I think there's a lot of people who are book smart, who know a lot of things, who know the Bible, for instance, back and forth. But they're not wise. They don't know how to use that wisdom in a way that's productive for them or for the people around them. So I think wisdom's a very kind of unique idea and topic. And so for me, again, my dad being an educator, grew up in a pretty academic home, again, graduated from Rice. At one point was in the Rhodes Scholar program, very academic. There's a very big difference between being academic smart and street smart. And so I think wisdom is more on the street smart side of that. So I think a couple of teachers for me. One is just experience, right? The older you are, the wiser you should be. You've been through scenarios. But if anybody out there listening is like, hey, how do I get wiser? What I tell everybody is a practice for me. When I sit down at my desk every day, the first thing I do is read a chapter of Proverbs. Like, the stuff that's in there is wild, man. Like, Jesus and the scriptures say things in a way that I think most people don't understand. Like, very unconventional, countercultural stuff that's just smart and great. And so I tell our team here, hey, before you open your computer, before you open the calendar, before you start answering emails, just get some wisdom, man. And some of that just came out of necessity for me. Like I said, when I took this big job in the 5th Ward a few years ago, I felt really over my head. I was like, man, there's situations we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis that I don't feel equipped to handle. And so that's where it really started for me. Like, I'm just going to start reading Proverbs every day. And I did it every day for 4 years or however long I was there. And man, some of this stuff just came alive to me. And you'd be in a situation, be like, all right, this is how I would make that decision. And so I do that here with our team. I'm like, hey, I hope the first thing you do, and I've moved on a little bit because I don't know if bored's the right word, but reading Proverbs over and over again for 4 years. I moved into the other New Testament stuff. So there's a lot of Proverbs that jump out to me that I think really apply in a leadership setting. That's one of them. Can you read that again?
Yeah.
Proverbs 14:4.
Proverbs 14:4. Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox.
There you go. So for me, what that means and our teams, we can keep things nice and clean. The status quo would be easy to maintain. But productivity is going to come when we break some stuff, bring in some ox. Sometimes ox are going to shit everywhere. They're going to knock some things over. They're going to make things dirty. But that's better than the alternative. Like, we're not here as leaders to maintain the status quo. We're just not. Even in the church world, like we want to keep advancing. So the only way things advance is with a few ox. And so, we get some oxen in there, and again, they're gonna make a mess, but it's gonna take us forward. And so a lot of leadership for me is balancing of, hey, how do we keep this thing nice and clean? And at the same time, keep it moving forward. So that's a thought, an idea that I would have never come up with on my own. But it's right there in Proverbs 14. So I'm reading over, and whatever day that was that I was in Proverbs 14, I would circle that and be like, that's a different thought. Who's talking about that? Nobody. So Proverbs is great for that. Wisdom is great for that. And the only way to get it is to go after it. Like, wisdom's not going to just like magically show up. You got to put in the work on wisdom. You got to live the life.
Yeah.
And you got to read the things and talk to the people and surround yourself with older guys that know things better than you and have been down the road longer than you have. Like, wisdom just doesn't show up. I don't know where it is. Proverbs 4, maybe. Forgive me. Some biblical scholars get mad at me. I don't know the exact reference, but I don't care. It says something to the effect of, hey, the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Like, meaning, work for it. Kind of like you talking about with shooting. Like, you're not going to just show up one day and be a better shooter. You gotta put the work in.
Yeah.
Same with wisdom. You got to live the life, and you got to read the word and do all the things.
Yeah. I love what you said about talking to people, and I've heard you say this. You said this when you were talking to Jason on the Rethink and Return podcast that you guys do here at Church Project.
Yeah.
Never trust a man without a limp.
Oof.
So expand on that for me. Tell me a little bit about that.
One of my favorite sayings, and again, I don't know this exact reference point. I was meeting with a guy at some point, and he's like, hey, because I always, if I'm interviewing somebody for a job, one of my favorite is like, what's your story? Have you been through some pain? Have you wrestled with some stuff? Have you struggled through some things? And if the answer is yes, all right, I know I got somebody who's lived a little life, has learned what it means to wrestle with God, what it means to fight through circumstances that aren't easy. Anyway, this guy, I don't remember, I think he's like his grandpa told him, hey, never trust a man without a limp. Man, that stuck with me ever since. I've used it for a decade plus. And essentially what that means is, hey, if I'm going to put you in any kind of leadership position, or I'm going to trust you to speak into my life, I need to know that you've been through life. So, I think a lot of times, especially men, and maybe guys that listen to something like this, we think of our failures and our struggles as deficits and losses. And the reality is, there's some of our biggest wins, some of our biggest gains, because that's where we've learned perseverance and grit and compassion and love. So, somebody tells me, again, for you to be vulnerable and share a little bit about the sickness that you've been working through, it doesn't make me feel sorry for you. It doesn't make me feel like, oh, he used to be some big MMA guy and now he's trying to figure out, how to put one foot in front of the other. It makes me have more respect for you. So I think sometimes we try to hide that stuff from each other, especially as men.
Yeah.
Try to pretend like everything's cool and okay.
Yeah.
But it's the opposite. Like, hey, man, you tell me you wrestled with your marriage and you got through the other side, or you had some hard times with your kid and now they're better, or you wrestled with this sickness and maybe you didn't get through. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever the things are, like, that's a much realer place for me to occupy. So if I need somebody to lead something, or if I need somebody to speak into something that's happening in my life, never trust a man without a limp. That's real for me.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I love that. I love this mindset that, and you touched on this, it reminded me of it, that people view failure as the opposite of success.
Yeah.
And failure, to me, is a part of succeeding. And you probably know this quote better than I do, but it's Michael Jordan.
There you go.
He's, some famous quote, and I don't know it great, but it's one of my favorite, quotes. Since it's one of my favorites, I should know it perfectly. But he's talking about how he's been relied on to make the winning shot X amount of times. He's missed, this shot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. But that is why he is the best in the world, because those failures have only propelled him to become better, So success is not the opposite of, for failure is not the opposite of success. Success is a part of succeeding. And so suffering builds strength. Suffering builds wisdom if you have the right perspective in mind. And that's hard, man. And right now it's really, really hard for me, transparently, you know. But I try to live in that posture of man, my suffering is producing endurance. The Bible tells us this,
That's right.
That endurance produces faith. And that faith, grows and strengthens us and strengthens the people around us. And it's one of the good gifts of the Lord. If you have the right mindset, if you have the right perspective, if you have the right altitude, right? If you allow your attitude to produce altitude and not the opposite, then I think you can make it through these trials of life with a little bit better perspective.
Yeah. I look back at some of the things I used to teach, stand in front of groups of people and teach some lessons. And maybe I'll look back on some of this stuff and feel the same way. But man, when I was young, I said some really stupid stuff. And one of the things I used to say was, I used to say it a lot. I used to say success is harder to deal with than failure. And what I meant by that when I said that back in those days was, hey, when things are going good, sometimes it's hard to forget God. Sometimes it's hard to remember how you got to where you are. So, you see successful people go off the rails because they don't deal with it well. So I used to say that a lot. And I think there's some truth to that.
Sure.
For sure. But now that I've got a few more decades on me, what I say now is like, hey, success is harder to deal with than failure unless you've dealt with real failure. Like if you've dealt with real hardship, lost a marriage, lost a kid, battled with cancer, gone bankrupt, whatever those things are, like that's different and harder and will challenge you at your core in a way success will not. Like, I don't know how low you've been in your life, but there's been points where I've questioned everything. Like, I remember yelling at God, why are you letting this happen? I thought you loved me. Do you not see what's going on? Like, I've been in those places. And so, man, failure at that level, difficulty and hardship at that level will really challenge. I mean, that'll show you what you're really made of, what the people around you are made of. So all that to say, like, when you go through those things and get on the other side, man, you're tougher, you're more resilient, but you're also a lot more compassionate and grateful for the good stuff that's in your life, the people that are in your life, God, the God that's in your life.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, bro. Like, and it's a weird thing because you don't want it for anybody. You don't want it for yourself. Like, bro, if I could get rid of this, if there was a magic button, I'd be pushing it right now.
Pushing it, bro.
Right? And at the same time, it's this weird thing that man, God's teaching you something through this that you're probably not going to pick up any other way. So living in that tension is hard.
Yeah, man. Oh, speaking truth to me, Jason, it's just something I've been wrestling with a lot, man. Like, I mean, transparently, and I say this to the show and everybody here, like, this is the lowest I've been, bro. I mean, this is hard. And it's hard because people can look at me and they don't, like, you look like a healthy dude, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like death every day.
Yeah.
And that's not to, I don't need I don't need people to pacify me. That's not what I'm here for.
Mm.
What I want to talk about is what you just hit on, is that in that deep level of suffering, in that deep level of failure, because there's a part of failure in this that I feel I'm not able to be the husband that I was. I'm not able to be the father that I was. You know, I can sit here and have a conversation, but I can hardly, pick up my daughter, But this level of suffering and that level of failure over time has produced an intimacy with the Lord that I think cannot be found in a success, in what we would view as success in the world, right? So me being so broken in this state, I'm so broken down in this state, has left me with nothing other than to cry out to the Lord and to ask him to be my daily bread. Because one of the things that I'm dealing with is every food makes me sick. I literally cannot have my daily bread right now, not without a side effect.
Wow.
And so this concept that we're talking about is so powerful, and I think so important for people to hear. Whether you're in hardship now or at some point hardship is coming, I promise you, in your life, you can allow it to either produce endurance and sanctify you, or you can allow it to cripple you, And I'm not saying it's easy. There are times when I am crippled and I need the people around me, like we talked about earlier. We need the roof breakers, the arm raisers, my wife, my community, the people around, people at this church, the people that I work with. They have loved on me in a way that has given me strength. I would not be able to have made it through this time without that. But that suffering and that hardship has produced not only an endurance, but an intimacy with the Lord that I think I could never have found and had never had in a life of success leading up to this point.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, maybe that's one of the last things I would say to somebody that would be listening to something like this or watching something like this. Like, I would never pretend to know what that feels like. Like, everybody's pain is relative.
Sure.
So there's people that have been, again, because of the deep love I have for my kids. Like, I see somebody's lost a kid. Like, I don't know if I could make it through that. I don't think I could. Like, it's just unfathomable to me. So I understand there's relative levels of pain.
Sure.
But even as you're talking about the things you're talking about, and I'm sure people listening like, oh yeah, but you don't know my pain. You don't know how hard it is.
Yeah.
I get it, bro. I have no doubt that some people have wrestled through things a lot harder than I have. But what I would say are two things. One, God has never failed me yet. Not once. Even when it felt like he was or didn't understand, it was always good on the other side. So he's never failed me. I'm 50 years old. He not once. So when we sing those songs about, he never failed me, like, that's real for me. The second thing that I hold on to is that, man, sometimes this life is hard to figure out. And I'm sure you, like I have at various times, like, God, why would you let this happen? Or what's the meaning beyond all this? And sometimes things don't get better, right? Like, that's the even hardest stuff for me. It's like, hey, people that wrestled with cancer for all these years and everybody told them, hey, God's going to pull you
be
through
healed,
and you died of cancer. What do you tell somebody? And that's like, what do you tell the wife of that guy? What I tell them is that even we don't all the way see it here. We don't all the way reconcile it here. One, he's never failed me once. But secondly, I think through faith in Christ, when we get to the other side, when this is all done, I think what we're going to say to him is, you were right. God works things, all things together for good. All his purposes bigger. His ways are higher than our way. Like, I think we're going to be able to see it in whatever perspective and be like, I get it. You're right. And you're good. So I think if you can't hold on to anything else, hold on to that.
Yeah.
There's lots of people that would tell you, hey, God's never failed them. That's been tested and challenged, but he's never failed me once. And secondly, I have a strong conviction that what the Bible says is true, that Jesus is good, that he loves me more than I love myself, and And then at the end of the day, when we get to see him face to face, we're not going to be like, why did you do this? Or why did you do that? We'll be like, you're right.
You're right.
So, amen.
I love it, man. That's good. That's good stuff. No, and I'm with you. Like I also, I'm in the midst of my suffering, and so it's big to me. But I'm not comparing that. There's people out there that are probably suffering greater than me, and I know that it could be worse. And I'm like, Lord, but don't let it get worse than it is.
Oh.
But to your point, He continues to sustain me, and He has continued to show up in this time in ways that are profound, in ways that I cannot even begin to express my gratitude for it, even in the midst of being as ill as I've been. So I second what you said, man. Absolutely. But man, as we wrap, getting back to the topic, which this is all topic, right? The best leadership book in the world is the Bible, but if there's a guy out there listening, a girl out there listening today, and they want to become a better leader starting tomorrow, what's one thing they can do? What's one thing they should change?
I think I've already said it. Like for me, it begins and ends with Jesus. Like he's the best leader you're ever going to find. Best man you're ever going to like. If you're looking for a leader, a mentor, an example to follow, he's it. And the best place I can find him is in the scriptures. And so something as simple as, again, before you do anything that relates to whatever you're leading, I dare you, open up a chapter of Proverbs. Just read it, absorb it. It'll take 3 minutes. 5 minutes. Do stack day on top of day of that. And you'll be amazed at what'll come out of you and the decisions that you'll make and the things that'll pop into your brain that wouldn't have otherwise done that. The other thing I would say is if you drive a lot, man, just listen to it. You can listen to some of the best times of my life, growth as a leader, have been through driving in a car, which I hate. I hate driving. But man, you can listen to giant chunks of scripture read consecutively that will make sense to you. And then you can listen to leadership books or biographies or whatever that'll change your life. So just find those margins, whatever they are, and just start stacking one good day on top of the other. And it'll transform your leadership life over a period of time.
I love it, man. That's good. All right. Well, we'll wrap there. Thank you guys for listening to the March or Die podcast. Remember to subscribe to the show. We're putting out a lot of good content. We got more content coming. We got another platform we're launching called the Men of Action platform. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you subscribe so you can see what we're doing. Jason, thank you for being on the show.
It was a privilege.
Yeah, man. Great to have you. Remember, guys, leadership is not inherited. It's built through discipline, through perseverance, through preparation. So when the bullets are flying, when you're on the X, you got to march, because if you stay where you're at, you're going to die. We'll see you guys next time.